Hi, this is Ian Eagle from CBS Sports. WEX on, WEX off starts right now with Jason Wexler.
Double feature of Wex on, Wex off. Earlier we had Keith Rad, my former colleague of ESPN Ithaca, and we'll keep the Central New York train rolling. Joining us now, the voice of the Miami Heat, Ithaca College alum from, 1850-something, Eric Reid. Eric, how you doing?
Oh, class of '79 and doing great, Jason. Nice to join another former Ithaca College bomber.
Eric, we know you're the voice of the Heat. We'll get into that in a second, but we had to postpone our chat because you were doing something very interesting this afternoon and kind of getting an inside look at a very special college basketball program.
Yeah, I live about 5 minutes from Florida Atlantic University. That's where we enjoy our occasional Division I college football games, including their season opener tomorrow against Monmouth, which we're going to happily be in attendance for. But we've been watching FAU basketball, as a neighbor for a long period of time. But what Dusty May has done as their head coach in the last 5 years has really been astounding. 5 straight winning seasons for a program that really struggled to put much success together under a lot of bigger name head coaches in the past 20 years. Dusty's, I think, track record and team speaks for itself. They were one of the most surprising Final Four participants in recent memory. It was rousing for South Florida to have both FAU from Boca Raton and the University of Miami both in last year's Final Four. It was really exceptional for this area. But I'm into their program, and today I got a chance to watch one of their preseason workouts and sort of get behind the curtain of one of the fastest rising, improving college programs in the country right now, the FAU Owls under Dusty May. They have everybody back from their Final Four team. So they got talent, they got depth, they got deep tournament experience, and they got the hunger from coming close, but not quite getting it done. So I'm going to be an interested observer, as will many others, but I'm in the neighborhood. So in addition to my job with the Miami Heat, as a good neighbor and a basketball fan, I am definitely supportive and into, watching and monitoring and enjoying FAU's basketball success right now. So it was cool to watch that team and those kids and that program, get ready for the season today.
We talk about peeling the curtain. We were talking about this off air. I think we both think that's the most interesting part of the job. Obviously, doing the games is fun. You're on TV, you're doing the game, but it's all the stuff that goes on before that, right? Like the stuff during the day. You get to see the guys practice. You get to see them all work with the assistant coaches. To me, that's the most interesting part of the job is, showing up 4 or 5 hours before the game or just, being around that team. And for you, it's, being around that Heat culture.
As much as studying for games and preparing diligently for every game I've done in my long career with the Heat and beyond that, I believe in that. But the best work you do is when you're in the gym and you're hearing the ball bounce and you're seeing players do their work and assistant coaches do their work, getting to know both groups, respecting what they do, learning what they do. It's a great part of the job, and it's the people meeting business, and I've always enjoyed that, no matter what the level, getting to know players and coaches and having respect for what they're doing and what they're trying to do, and it adds a lot of flavor to the job. And listen, most of us, I'd say almost all of us that do this, are passionate about the sports we cover. So I'm deep into my career, but still really love the game, love being a student of this game. I've been around so many great players and coaches, and over my long career as a broadcaster, and just to have that desire to always learn more and tell new basketball stories, it keeps us going, and we really enjoy it.
So one of the guys that I think has one of the biggest things to do behind the scenes, obviously, it's Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, but it's Udonis Haslem. He's been an assistant captain, maybe a full captain, on the team for, his entire career. He's won 3 championships with them, and he really is, to me, what embodies Heat culture. What's really something you've seen out of Udonis that we wouldn't necessarily see on the floor because he's probably most valuable, to be honest, during practice, during shoot arounds, and making sure the younger guys know what's going on.
Well, it's been one of the more incredible stories to chronicle and watch unfold. Udonis grew up in Miami, so as a kid, he was watching the expansion Miami Heat play with a power forward by the name of Grant Long out of Eastern Michigan, who was our first power forward, and a guy that even before we knew what a culture was or had one, he gave us one because Grant Long was a defensive oriented, hustle, work ethic kind of guy who sort of paved the way for Heat power forwards to come. We had PJ Brown for a number of years who was similar. And Udonis, listen, he grew up in Miami, went to Miami High School, won big for Billy Donovan at the University of Florida and helped that winning tradition go and blossom. And then after 1 year overseas as an undrafted free agent rookie, he was in Dwayne Wade's rookie class. They went basically through their entire career, but Haslem joins Dirk Nowitzki and Kobe Bryant as the only three players in NBA history to play 20 years with the same team. And what makes UD's journey even more unique, he's from the city that he's playing in, and he was undrafted, which is almost unbelievable to have a 20-year career. I think folks outside of Miami, sort of rolled their eyes over the last 5, 6, 7 years when Udonis has been mostly as a locker room mentor type of guy, and people on the outside looking in found it hard to understand how he could have such an impact. But he does. He's the OG of Heat culture. He's got the respect of every player that comes through. He earns the respect. He's kept himself in great shape even over the years when not playing. And, you could have a room full of great young players, at the professional level. If you do not surround them with good, solid veterans that can teach them how to be professionals and show them by both words and action how to be a winner and how to be a professional and what it means to play for an organization like the Miami Heat. And UD did it year after year for player after player. And I think will continue to as he moves forward. Incredible influence on the franchise, on his city of Miami, and on all who have crossed his path. We've been around some really great players and some great people, and he's both. All-time leading rebounder in Heat history. A great source of Heat history, and we'll be telling UD stories for a long time to come, including this year when his number 40 gets hoisted to the rafters at some point.
Do you think the Heat are going to retire LeBron's number?
LeBron?
Yeah.
Well, I don't have any inside knowledge of that, but I would guess, yes, when his career is over, the Heat will commemorate and honor the tremendous 4 years he gave us in Miami. 4 trips to the finals, the back-to-back championships, unforgettable, indelible. You can make a case that his best years as a pro were with the Heat. We'll never forget those times. We embrace them forever. And I have a feeling that will happen at the right time.
And to LeBron's credit, the best player in the world got better after he was, shut down by JJ Barea in the 2010 finals. He comes back, he's able to put his back to the basket and, do a little more like Kobe was able to do a little bit later in the year. Comes back with this renewed interest, and I believe that was the year that him and D Wade said they weren't taking threes. And the only thing worse than them trying to beat you from the perimeter is them driving at you every single time.
Well, it was a unique team. I think that first year was the wake-up call they needed to win back-to-back titles over the next 2 years. It's not easy, even when you got 3 mega stars like the Heat had with Bosh, Dwayne, and LeBron James. So, the Heat had the better players in 2010, I believe, or 2011, the Mavericks were the better team. And it was interesting because in 06, the Heat won their first championship with a Game 6 win at Dallas. And then in 2011, the Mavericks win their first championship with a Game 6 win in Miami. So we were even with them, would go on to have a great finals win against Oklahoma City in 12. And then, the unforgettable 2013 finals that went 7 against the Spurs that was highlighted by Ray Allen's three-pointer that that force overtime in Game 6 in Miami.
LeBron misses the three, and I start to have a heart attack. Bosh gets the rebound, and then rest is history. Ray Allen makes the shot. One of the best shots.
Listen, not only one of the best shots in finals history, one of the most instinctive plays you will ever see in a championship setting. Ray Allen has practiced that shot a million times. The back pedal to the 3-point line, that sense of where he was. He didn't have to check his feet on the floor. He knew exactly where he was because he'd done it a million times with nobody watching. And, one of the game's great 3-point shooters made one of the game's great shots. And yet that shot only forced overtime, and it was only Game 6. But it's a snapshot for NBA historians and certainly for anybody that follows the Miami Heat.
So again, keeping with that theme of underdog, we're going to go forward a little bit. The Heat come into the NBA play-in. They play the Hawks, doesn't go as planned. Then they have to play the Bulls. They defeat the Bulls. They're now the 8th seed, and we know how far they were able to get from that. So I personally, I'm not a huge fan of the play-in, but you look at, the opportunity and maybe momentum it gave to the Heat that they would have maybe not gotten if they had just been a regular 7 or 8 seed, just starting the series. Do you think that helped them kind of in some way?
Well, there's a lot to that question. First of all, I like the play-in. It was our first experience in the play-in with the Miami Heat. Why I like it generally is because it keeps teams 9, 10, 11, and 12 playing and chasing something through the regular season. And now more than ever, when you see how the Heat parlayed a play-in into a finals appearance, it can happen. You can come together late. Doesn't happen often like that, but it did happen for Miami. And listen, the worst way to miss the playoffs, here's the worst possible way to miss the playoffs: getting the play-in with 2 home games and lose them both.
Right.
Worst way to miss the playoffs, right? Almost happened to Miami. Blown out at home by Atlanta to lose the chance at being the 7th seed and playing Boston in the first round. And, we're down 5 or 6 with 3 or 4 minutes left against the Bulls in the play in or go home game. And, and then blow out Milwaukee in Game 1 on the road. And Jimmy Butler begins what was, maybe his best ever playoff series against the Bucks, including a 50-plus point game, a shot that forced overtime at the buzzer. So the special stuff and the surprising stuff began immediately with the Game 1 win in Milwaukee. And, then go on to have a great, upset them with the Giannis injury. They took advantage and made quick work of the number 1 seed. And then you take on an upstart Knicks team who got great play from Jalen Brunson and Randall, and Miami handled them fairly quickly. And the series with the Celtics was one of the great playoff series we've ever enjoyed as a franchise. First of all, to go up 3-0 was stunning. The minute the Heat lost Game 4, I got concerned because you see how playoff series can change and pivot in any which direction after any game. And, it became a real series after that because Miami loses Game 4 at home, and then the Knicks win Game 5 in New York. And now you're coming back to Miami up 3-2, but the Knicks had won the last 2 and had momentum. The Celtics. And, one of the strangest ends to a game ever. Jimmy Butler gets fouled late. The Heat down 2. He goes to the line for 3 shots and makes all 3 to put the Heat up 1. And with tenths of a second left, Derek White on, just a great play for him on a followed up. The Heat force Marcus Smart into taking the last shot. They covered Tatum so well and Brown so well. And it winds up in the hands of Smart. So you're thinking at that moment, great defense. He misses the shot. But the guy that prevented Tatum from getting the entry pass was Strus. He could not recover back to White. Tipped it in. Most of the people in the building that night thought the Heat had won. And it wasn't until about 10 seconds went by that people realized we had lost. And all of a sudden, it was a 3-3 series going back to Boston for Game 7. And Jason, I went on our post-game show that night, and as much as it felt like we'd all been punched in the stomach and like our best chance to advance to the finals looked like it had just slipped away with a devastating, painful home loss. One of those home losses on such a spectacular end of game play, much like when Allen Houston eliminated the Heat, back in the early days of the Heat Knicks rivalries in the late 90s. You don't ever forget those plays, especially when they knock you out when you're at home. And the Heat overcame that. I went on our post-game show that night, said, you know what? It's not over. It's not over. And the reason it's not over is because everybody out there thinks it is over now. Everybody thinks the Celtics will easily win Game 7 at home. And if even 1% of that mentality seeped into the Celtic mindset, I knew it would give the Heat a chance. And to blow Boston out in Boston in Game 7, I think it did more to illuminate what is known now around the league as Heat culture. That one game, overcoming that type of adversity and winning your way in on the road, with a Game 7 win at Boston, just a signature franchise win. And, listen, you want the whole thing. I think we're very proud of last year's Eastern Conference champs. In the end, they ran into a better team and what last year was clearly the best team in Denver with a guy that has virtually become an unguardable player in Nikola Jokic.
And Eric, Bam had a great finals too. It's just Jokic was just a little bit better. It's not always something that you don't do. It's sometimes what the other team did, and Jokic and Murray were ready to win a title.
Yeah, listen, Jimmy Butler did not finish the playoffs like he started it. To me, it was the sprained ankle in the Knicks series. He wasn't quite his explosive self after that. He's never gone on record as using that as an excuse. He played through it as best he could. Not having Hero in the end. Listen, the Heat statistically were the worst offensive scoring team in the league in the regular season. And in the Denver series, that came back to get them. They didn't have enough offense to overcome the Nuggets. Having Hero clearly would have helped, but that's it. It was Denver's time. They won it, and now it's on to next season and trying to make that climb again and trying to earn another trip at playing for a championship.
Did you think Tyler was going to get a little burn there in the Game 7? Or
not really? I never really did, because to sit out from Game 1 of the Milwaukee series and come back in Game 7 of a final, I didn't think that was fair to either the player or to the team. It's hard to jump on a fast moving train in Game 7 of the finals. So I was not expecting him to play in that game.
And this season is going to come with a new wrinkle. We're going to have the I forget what it's called. I'm sorry, the Commissioner's Cup or whatever it's called, the mid-season tournament. Not sure exactly how I think that's going to factor in, but maybe it'll give a little more buzz and a little bit more importance to these 82 games when, load management continues to be a topic of conversation.
Well, listen, one of Pat Riley's favorite sayings is keeping the main thing, the main thing. And the main thing is winning a championship in the end. And the regular season is about, building habits, trying to stay healthy, and win as many games as you can to get the best playoff seeding that you can. Listen, I'm open-minded about the in-season tournament. I don't love it going in, but I think the financial reward for the winning team is such that it could build some fun regular season incentive. It's just a matter of 4 or 6 games that will maybe feel a little different and maybe not. It'll feel different if you're one of the final 4 teams that go to Vegas to try to win that tournament. But in the qualifying games, I have a feeling they're going to feel just a season game, but it will have a different look. You'll know it's part of this tournament, and the court will reflect that. Maybe the uniforms will as well. But listen, it remains to be seen. Adam Silver has pushed this idea over the last few years. It's been tremendously successful in Europe in soccer. And listen, the NBA is not afraid of taking chances, and I don't see how this can backfire. People looked at the play-in tournament as something that they wondered about, and we've seen it build, great incentive, as I said, for the teams on the fringe of the top 8. And now with the Heat setting that bar of you can be a play-in team and a finals team, and be the same team.
Eric Reid with us, the voice of the Miami Heat. We're going to get you out on this because I know you love your Jets. Aaron Rodgers, big acquisition. My Ithaca College roommate and I, when Aaron went on the McAfee show, this is 2-3 weeks before the trade was done. We popped a bottle of champagne. We were ready. He said he was ready to be a Jet. I'm a Giants fan, by the way. But my roommate Matt and I will be at the Jets-Bills season opener next 10 days from now against the Bills. When you heard Aaron Rodgers was going there, did you jump for joy too?
Absolutely. And I'm jumping for joy even more with the Aaron Rodgers that the Jets have gotten, because this guy has been the consummate leader and teammate and mentor and star player, that the Jets have craved, that any team would crave. But the Jets quarterback play in particular has been so poor over the last few years. I just think he's going to elevate the entire team, especially the offense. I love the way he's not only embraced, Zach Wilson, and he's certainly going to help him become the best quarterback that he can potentially be. But even the way he's taken Mekhi Becton and some of the younger players under his wing and made them feel a big part of it and accountable. I think they're going to be really exciting. We think they have an excellent top 5, top 10 defense. I've been watching the Jets a long time. This is as well balanced and as complete a Jets team that I've seen on paper.
How far are they going to go?
I don't know, but I'm going to be watching every game and enjoying this season more than we have in a long, long time.
And Eric, we've certainly enjoyed the time. Thank you so much for making time for us here on WEX on WEX.
Thank you, Jason. Best to you and your roommate and all of our Ithaca College alums.